The security services and the police have been working immensely hard. I think they do excellent work all the time, including we had a case, I think 10 days ago, where someone was convicted having been intercepted on their way to attack a soldier. So I think they do some excellent work. I think that their hands have been tied, I think, by the government. I think we should have had control orders in place across this Parliament, which we haven't had because they removed some of the powers, and I think that has caused them more problems. But I do think they do immensely important work to keep us safe all the time.
So if you win the election, you will be bringing back control orders?
We think it's right to bring back this relocation power. That's the most important part of the control orders, and that's what allows the agencies and the police to say to the Home Secretary, someone needs to be moved away from their networks, away from the radicalisation extremist networks that they might have been working with, in order to disrupt any plots that might be being planned, but also to try and prevent further radicalisation. That's what's been removed, and that's what we advised against. And my worry is when you look at all of these cases that are being reported now in the papers, there's so many of these cases where people were allowed to return to London, for example, to continue to operate with their networks. Questions about why some of these extremists were not being put on the new powers because the new powers are too weak.
So it's the relocation aspect, but does that mean you will bring it back as part of a control order, or would you keep the TPIMs, and there are already moves to attach the relocation aspect of it to a TPIM? So do you have control orders, or do you stick with the TPIMs?
I think effectively they're the same thing if you bring the relocation powers back, because that's the most important thing, and that's what we always argued for from the beginning. Because, you know, if you look now, we are being told that there's a considerable risk that the threat has increased because of all these people who've been going to Syria, planning further attacks in Britain, and yet only one person is on a TPIM. Only one person. And that, I think, demonstrates really clearly that those control powers are simply not strong enough.
And that is happening,
and you need the stronger powers in place.
It is happening already, isn't it? And they are moving already to bring back the relocation part of the control order and attach it to the TPIM. So you are happy with what the government is doing on that front?
But it's taken them 5 years. 5 years of us arguing, 5 years of security experts arguing that this was the wrong approach. And so I think, you know, the fact that Theresa May could take the decision to remove those relocation powers against all that expert advice, against the arguments that were made in Parliament, I think was the wrong thing to do. And we do need to know more about whether that has increased the risk as a result, about what difference it's made to some of these very serious cases. I think the Intelligence and Security Committee needs to be briefed immediately on the details of these cases and whether or not it could have been handled better if they'd been able to be moved outside London.